Looks like we're live. Okay, guys, sorry about that. This is Bradley Benner with Semantic Mastery. This is Hump Day Hangouts for December 3rd. This is episode 575. We're having some technical issues. That's why Adam's here, but now I've got you added, Adam. Can
There we
you
go.
talk?
Can you hear me?
Yes. Now
Weird. All right.
Yeah. It was weird. It was just acting funny, and I just got a new PC, and that was part of the problem. So I've had nothing but problems with this PC. I just got it 2 days ago, and I've had it like it's just shut off and reset on me 8 different times in the last 2 days, like right in the middle of fucking work. It's just been nuts. So I don't know what's going on with that. But anyway, let me get the Adam, if you can take over.
Yeah. If you want to get the link redirect and all that stuff going, and I will give everyone a quick chat here. So since I can't say hello to Chris and Bradley's going to be busy for a minute. Chris wasn't available. I've got a couple things I wanted to mention. We, of course, had some special training available over the Black Friday, Cyber Monday timeframe. Hopefully you took advantage of that. Bradley gave away some really cool free stuff. We also had an awesome bundle deal available. And there's going to be some more fun stuff coming over the next few weeks and then through the holidays. So definitely stay tuned. If you're not already on the email list for Semantic Mastery, you definitely want to do that. You can head over to semanticmastery.com and sign up that way. So 3 things I want to tell people about, kind of some tiers here of ways to approach Semantic Mastery. First of all is Hump Day Hangouts. If you're just joining us for the first time, or if you're newer, just, hey, come hang out with us, ask questions. You can ask questions ahead of time if you need to. We understand not everybody can be here live, but it definitely makes it easier if we have a question about your question to follow up, or sometimes it's not clear. But we get it. Again, if you want to ask ahead of time, that's fine. Just make sure you subscribe on YouTube, and that way you'll get notified when the Hump Day Hangouts are posted. And we then take each question and turn that into its own video. All right, so 3 ways you can also get more training from Semantic Mastery. There's the Local Mastery newsletter. You get 5 to 7 actionable local SEO insights every week. This is delivered to your inbox, and each of these the insights have an action item attached to them. So something that you can literally do and implement into your client work, your agency, whatever that might be. And like I said, that's delivered as an email newsletter. You can read that in under 30 minutes. And I mean, you could, if you just put one of these things to work each week, let alone 5 to 7, you get a huge value out of that. Secondly is the Local Ops SEO Blueprint. All right, this is a systematized approach to local SEO success. You can find out more about that at localops.semanticmastery.com. And if you're ready to join the mastermind and you want to take your local SEO agency or consulting to the next level, head over to mastermind.semanticmastery.com. Find out more about that. See if that's a good fit for you. Definitely looking for people who are ready to take the next steps. So with that said, Bradley, how are we looking on the tech end?
Yeah, we're in, I think. So
I'll double check in the background.
We'll proceed. So, but yeah, I'm good, man. I've just been super busy the last few days with just AI development stuff, but some really cool developments in the AI SEO side of things that I can chat a little bit about today. But yeah, it's been exciting. I've got some new automations that I'm building for my agency that we'll be teaching about in the mastermind here very soon. I just started that last night. So, but it's almost unfair like with the AI automations that we can do now with like nurturing and follow up, et cetera. So, Instantly, which is what I use for cold email, instantly.ai. It's very, very powerful. And they've added so many cool features over the last couple of months. And it's actually going to, it integrates with, it's got its own MCP server now. And it integrates with a lot of different apps like Instantly AI does. Like it's seamless. And so I'm going to be building an automation to do like, for example, when I get a booked sales appointment. So when somebody books an appointment, right now we just send out appointment notifications, so appointment reminders. But what I'm going to do is a nurture sequence where, like, basically it's a pre-sales nurture sequence where I deliver to like day 1. So the day after they book the call, they're going to get a follow-up email with some additional information that kind of educates them a bit before they ever get on the call. So day 1, 2, 3, 5, and 7 before the meeting, they're going to get different emails, kind of progressing them to where what I want is kind of turn the sales calls into just really answering any follow-up questions and pointing them to the checkout page instead of, like, for example, with my white label services agency, I have an hour-long presentation when I'm pitching to SEO professionals about my link building services. But I've been doing that for 4 years now. Like that's my sales process. And I mean, I can recite my whole sales pitch in my sleep, no kidding, because I've done it so many times. But, you know, why spend an hour if we could spend 15 minutes just answering any questions because they've been educated prior to the sales call? You know what I mean? It'd be a lot more efficient, probably have a higher conversion rate, although we have a fairly high conversion rate anyways. So I just, there's a number of things that can be done that was much more difficult to do previously, but now with the automations and the integrations with AI and the MCP servers and instantly and all this kind of stuff, it's like a no code kind of setup, and it's not going to be difficult to do at all. So I actually started working on that last night. I hope to have this done by next week. And I might even do a little bit of training on that on Hump Day Hangouts next week. So pretty exciting stuff though.
Yeah, man. Right. Every week. I mean, there's something that is good to distill it down and still stay focused on it. But try a little bit of everything so you can kind of ride the wave.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, let's get into it. I'll be here in the background.
Okay, man. I appreciate that. We don't have a lot of questions anyway, so today will be a kind of a quick one, I hope. And let me go ahead and grab the screen if I can find it again. I'm still getting used to this. StreamYard. We just switched from Zoom to which, by the way, I forgot to tell you, Adam, somehow we got stuck into a goddamn Zoom contract until July of next year. So we're going to be paying until July anyway.
All right. Well,
so
yeah,
it is what it is. All right. So let's go ahead and grab the screen. Hopefully this works, guys. We'll go with this one. All right. Can you confirm if you see my screen, Adam?
Yep. Looking good.
All right, good. All right, so the first one's Keith. What's up, Keith? I know who this is. It's been a long time. You reached out to me via email. Been knowing of Keith for a very, very long time. So anyway, what's up, man? He says, do you have any use for the SEO WordPress plugins such as Rank Math or Yoast? I mean, I used Rank Math for quite some time, but over the last 3 or 4 years now, I guess, I've been using SEO Press Pro. I hate WordPress, though, in case anybody wasn't aware of that. I absolutely hate WordPress. I really do. It's freaking stupid. The amount of, updates, and I don't even like working in WordPress anymore because it's just changed so much that I don't even really know how to optimize or kind of work in the new WordPress. Like it's just much more difficult, and I just don't like WordPress, period. I actually started doing some research yesterday. One of the things, I'm doing a lot of testing for AI SEO right now, and I've kind of cracked the code on what to do in order to get increase the chances of getting recalled or cited in AI search results. So brand dimensions. And one of the things that can improve, I've been teaching for the last couple of years now, for the last 2 years, about not really publishing blog content on the main domain because that creates competing pages. Like I know everybody in the local SEO industry, that's what we did for years, was we'd publish blog posts on the client site to try to create a separate piece of content for every single variation of every single search query that the client wanted to rank for. That's how we used to get results. I still see a lot of SEO companies that's what they do for their local clients, which is absolutely backwards now because that causes competing pages, and all they're doing is hurting the performance of the site that way. And so I've talked for the last couple of years about publishing content, blog content, which are more middle of funnel and top of funnel type of search queries that you target with that type of content. I think the local business sites, websites, should be solely optimized and focused around bottom of funnel type search queries, right? This kind of search queries that have transactional or commercial intent. That's what the whole local site should be optimized about. But if informational or middle of funnel type search queries, I think content can be published to try to, cast a wider net, so to speak. But I think that should be published, and I've been saying this for the last 1.5 years or 2 years, is that it should be published on external branded blogs. Well, more recently, because of AI search and the way that I'm seeing things are being returned there's something to be said for actually publishing some blog content, but not on the primary domain, but associated with the primary domain. Well, how do you do that? Okay, subdomain, right? Create a blog as a subdomain of the root domain, because Google treats subdomains as separate websites than it does. So the subdomain, you can have content published on the subdomain that if it were on the primary domain, so on the main website, it would the blog content could compete with the top level product or service pages or location page. So the top level pages that have the conversion goal, where the problem occurs with blog content is that when it's published on the same domain, it can create competing pages where the blog posts are then now competing with the top level service pages, and therefore Google demotes all of them in the search results. Might give them all impressions for the search queries that the multiple pages are relevant to, but they're all lower in the search results than they would have been had there only been one page relevant to that query. Does that make sense? So in other words, I've been talking about don't stop blogging for clients. Just do it on external branded domains. So the branded Web 2 networks, press releases can act as content marketing, but like Google Sites, Blogger, Tumblr, WordPress, Medium, Weebly, like any of those are all relevant kind of brand extensions, but they're on external domains. And that was to prevent competing pages. However, because of AI search, and I'm seeing how AI is, we can optimize to get the brand and the website cited in AI search results. We can also do it with off-page sources, such as press releases. Press releases, the goal of press releases, and it's easy, it's fairly easy to get referenced or cited in AI search results when you're publishing press releases across good distribution networks, because that now you're getting brand references on high authority properties, and that's what the AI pulls into the search results, are those high authority properties. Guys, think about how AI search works. It's not the same as like Google search, right? It's not that they return a list of links whenever you put a search query into an AI chat. It's normally a more conversational type of a search query. It's more natural, like speech patterns or language pattern type query, number one. Number two, the results are usually brand mentions that don't often, can contain a link. Sometimes they don't, but it's the mention that matters. And consumers' behavior has shifted quite a bit in that people go to their favorite AI model and search for whatever it is they're searching for. The AI model returns brand mentions of the companies that it suggests are the most relevant to the query. And then the consumer goes to Google and searches for each one of those brands by name. And so that's why, again, for years now, I've been talking about how important branded searches are and optimizing for brand search. And now it's coming to fruition. But here's what I'm getting at about linking and blogging. And that is, I've been saying for the last 1.5 to 2 years not to publish on the main domain, publish on external blog posts on external branded domains. That way you can still build topical authority. You can still create associations between the products or services and or the locations that the company wants to be associated with through forcing associations through content marketing. But now I think because of why, we want to not only get brand mentions on external sources that the AI chats will return, but we also want to try to get the company website cited in the AI search results. Okay, so how do we do that then? Well, certainly you can target FAQs on top level pages on the main site, which should be optimized, in my opinion, specifically for transactional terms or bottom of funnel type search queries. That's what the local site should be optimized for. But then how do we get the brand to then be referenced by and cited to the actual website or the domain, at least in the search results? Well, use a blog subdomain, right? Or any kind of subdomain, but I typically just label it blog. So blog dot whatever the domain is, because Google treats that as a separate site. So you can now publish content that would have been competing content if it was published on the root domain, but now it's on a subdomain. So it's being treated as a separate site. So it's not actually competing, but it's still published on the domain, just a subdomain. So there's an actual direct connection, association between the brand and the domain itself. So it increases the chances of getting the brand and the website cited, so the brand's website cited in the search results via subdomain. And here's the thing though, guys, when you're publishing posts on a subdomain, if you're building links to those posts, that's going to increase the link authority of the domain. Because remember, any subdomain that you build links to, the parent domain automatically inherits that link equity, authority, etc. So the point is that I've just recently started testing more with adding subdomain blogs to tree care contractors sites that I've been testing with, where we have been doing for the last 2 years almost exclusively content marketing on external domains. So branded Web 2s, etc. But now we're starting to do some testing on publishing blog posts on a subdomain, okay, of the domain. And in addition to also publishing content on branded assets. And that then we're promoting everything via press releases. And here's the second kind of cheat code for off-page signals right now for improving performance in AI search. Citations, believe it or not, business directory listings, well, those are structured citations, but even unstructured citations on different properties like press releases, right? But traditional business directory listings citations, structured citations, are actually have really returned as one of the most kind of important and powerful things that you can do to improve AI search performance. So right now, the two main off-page things that you can do to improve AI search performance is press releases and citations, thoroughly optimized citations on high authority directories, niche or industry specific directories, and to improve local search performance, getting in on local, hyperlocal directories when possible. And in press releases, more generally, that can help. But then the on-page side of things is important. And the way that you structure the content matters, like the way that it's formatted, okay, matters. And then also I recommend having FAQ schema. That's the best way to get into AI search, is to answer frequently asked questions. But also to have them structured properly, the content formatted correctly on the page that it's published on, right? And then FAQ schema that reinforces those frequently asked questions and answers. That's one of the best ways to get cited in AI search results. Now, what I started to mention, guys, and you are still seeing my screen, correct, Adam? Are you still on? Hugo HTML.
Yep. Sorry, you're good.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure because I'm still getting used to using this new platform. So I was doing some research on, because I was just talking about how I hate WordPress, and that's why I went through this long kind of spiel to get to this point, was the fact that I can't stand WordPress. And so when I started testing with publishing content, blog content, a subdomain, I just went to Grok, which is my favorite model for starting research. And then I usually end up in Gemini to build, but I use Grok to do my research, and usually for chatting and questions and things like that, starting projects where I'm trying to get ideas and things like that. I usually go to Grok first. So I went to Grok and I just said, Grok, I want something other than WordPress that I can use as a blog, that is blazing fast. It's good for SEO, but I don't want to have a web design degree in order to learn how to use it, right? Because I hate WordPress. I told Grok very clearly, I don't want WordPress. And Grok came back with 3 or 4 different recommendations, but I was introduced to this, which I'd never heard of. Hugo.io. I just did a search for Hugo HTML, and it'll be the first thing that pops up. These are blazing fast HTML pages, very, very light, lean code that you can use to build. And it's all done. It's super easy to deploy, and then just uploads directly to like Netlify or whatever you connect as your host. DigitalOcean, Linode, any one of those is fine. And you can literally publish direct to these HTML pages. So they're static blogs. It's not a CMS. It doesn't have a database and everything else. These are static HTML pages, but they're super, super light, and you can automate this. And so one of the things that I'm testing with right now is automating the publishing of these types of pages. And by the way, you can go to themes and you can see they've got a whole bunch of different themes here. The ones that I was told are the best are these 2 right here, because these are the lightest. And I'll just give you an example real quick. Like here's a demo of the Hugo Bear page. It's super, super light. So that's one of the types of pages that I'm testing with. Another one was this one here. If you go take a look at a demo, this one's a little bit better because it's got kind of more of a image and images, and it's, you can create a full blog on here, but you just publish the posts as individual pages. And so I'm working on developing an automation as I'm testing this some more, to then be able to publish posts on a subdomain of the root domain for any of my clients, but using these, you see it's on the Netlify app hosting, but they're blazing fast. They load in like super, super quick because they're super lean code, and they're static HTML pages, which means they'll load just like that. And you can add schema to these and everything else. And so this is what I'm doing. I'm testing very specifically, going to Gemini and asking Gemini to research particular search queries and tell me where is their opportunity for well-optimized content in a specific structure, which then I ask Gemini to provide that content in that structure, which I have a data pack, which is basically a plugin MD file that I add to the chat that gives instructions on very specifically how to format the content. And so when it produces the content now, the content is what Gemini had determined was likely to perform well in AI search, formatted the way that Gemini wants it to be formatted for it to perform well in Gemini search, which is all that I care about optimizing for. Because if we optimize for that, remember, Gemini is the engine behind Google search now. You understand? So if we optimize for Gemini, we're optimizing for Google search as well. And it's likely that any optimization gains that we make in AI search in Gemini will carry over to other models like ChatGPT, Perplexity, etc. So what I'm saying is this is what I'm testing with this now, because I don't want WordPress. I don't want the maintenance of WordPress. That's just a hassle, etc. So this is kind of the other option that I'm testing with, is this Hugo IO thing, and creating. We're going to be launching. I don't know when we're going to launch it now, actually, but Brand Expander. We've got the AI, our syndication app it's finally developed. I'm supposed to be testing it this week. I haven't had time this week yet, but it's fully developed now. So I've got to run it through some tests myself with some clients for the next couple of weeks. But soon we're going to be relaunching Brand Expander with the AI syndication application or workflows essentially that we built for it. And that's this Hugo blog post publishing can be automated through that system. So it makes it super easy, because we just go and we publish one piece of content, and in the AI, the syndication app takes that piece of content as the seed, and then creates all kinds of supporting articles or supporting content, in different multimedia format, and then publishes out across various social media, Web 2.0, et cetera, platforms. Well, this Hugo can be worked into that to where we can create supporting blog content and an HTML page on a subdomain of the root domain, thereby creating topical authority without it competing with the main site, increasing the chances, thereby increasing the chances of getting ranked and referenced in AI search. Hopefully that's clear. So there's a lot to, we can automate now. And I've been doing a lot of testing on the AI SEO side of things, because it's definitely the way things are moving. And it's actually not as hard to get into AI search results as you think it is right now, because there's a lot of the search results that are being pulled in, that AI is returning. It's just because that's the best that they had. So in other words, if you can just, like, even in certain search queries or search prompts, I should call it, in AI that returns, it's already got a really well populated result, search result, essentially. It doesn't mean that you can't push some of those that are being cited out, because you have better structure to the content. That's why I said it's really like, I've developed this kind of copywriting system that we just plug data packs into, and data packs are like Neo from The Matrix, right? Where, like, plug something in the back of his head and you can inject any sort of data and teach him martial arts in a matter of seconds, right? By just injecting the martial arts data into him. But that's what the data packs are, and the models that AI. I've created a bunch of data packs. We're going to be launching I was hoping to have by December 8th. It'll be hopefully December 15th now, the following Monday. But the copywriting system, I call it the AI Avatar Copy Engine, or ACE, ACE for short. But it's basically a modular system with data packs that are plugins. They're like the packs that Neo used to learn in The Matrix. It's really cool. We can plug in different copywriter style packs, local news and current events, industry data packs, consumer data packs, post type data packs. There's all these different kinds of ways that we can manipulate the copy output. And one of them is an SEO. One of the data packs that I've added is an SEO data pack specifically for doing the research to identify where there are topic gaps that can be exploited in AI search, and then also to produce the content in a very specific structured format that are going to increase the chances of it being pulled into AI search results. And so, again, all this is coming out, and I was hoping to have it, the copy engine, what we're calling it Clone Constructor. I was hoping to have that available by Monday, but it'll probably be the following Monday now, because we're a little bit behind on the distribution and publishing side of it. So to answer the question, finally, SEO Press Pro is the plugin that I use on the very few WordPress sites that I still manage, like my own directory site, for example. But I've moved all of my clients away from WordPress. I've only got a handful of clients left that are still on WordPress, and I don't even manage their sites. It's their webmaster teams manage those. I hate WordPress. So, all right. Next question was, can you confirm the mastermind members get access to documentation and SOPs covered in? Yeah, they get everything. Mastermind members get absolutely everything. Weekly newsletters, access to all of our training courses, all of our archives, everything. Yes, I can confirm. Is there a maximum number of locations you would stick to when adding location pages? No, but I mean, no, there's nothing, there's like no set rule, but as I've talked about many times, the more narrowly you focus the targeting of the site, both topically, meaning the products or services that it's targeting, as well as the geography, the areas in which it's targeting, the more narrow you focus that, the better it tends to perform. So the broader you create topic coverage, or the broader that you create geographic coverage, so the broader the geographic targeting, I should say, the less, it's not that it won't perform well, it just takes longer, right? And, you know, the more narrow the focus of the site, the faster it performs. That's what I'm saying. That's why, like with my tree guys, I've been talking about this for two plus years. For my tree guys, a lot of tree guys, they cover a very large service area. Well, I usually recommend that, like, they'll cover multiple counties. Okay. Well, then that's when I tell them, like, okay, well, for each county, we'll build you a separate site, because if we focus that site around just that one county, it makes it perform a hell of a lot better and faster, if that makes sense. And so for some of my tree guys that have the higher retainers where they're covering a very large area, that's what we do, is we just have multiple sites for them where it's on their root domain, but the root domain is acting as like a brand site and a directory to the locations. And then there's subdomains with the county name usually is the subdomain name for each of the areas that we target. Because again, it's a hyper-local site, so it performs better and faster is what I'm saying. If you were to try to take a site that across 3 counties and build it all on one domain with silo structure, count even by county, et cetera, yeah, you can still get rank it that way. It just tends to take longer, right? More effort, more resources. If target a site very specifically around a smaller geographic area, and in the tree service industry, it's a single category business. So that makes it a lot easier in my industry, because the different services like tree removal, tree trimming, tree care, stump grinding, land clearing, all of those things all fall under the tree service category. Do you understand? So it's a single service category business, which makes it easier to optimize because it's a narrow focus on the service category side of things, if that makes sense. So then what we really manipulate is kind of the geographic targeting. And the more narrow we make the geographic targeting, the faster those sites perform. That's just been my experience. And it's been that way for the last 2.5, 3 years. So I'm not saying you can't do it with a larger site. You can. It just takes more resources and more time. And so I always tell my tree guys, it's just like, yeah, like, and they don't, most tree guys don't give a shit about how many sites, because they're not really caring about their site. All they care about is the results that it produces. As long as their phone's ringing, they're getting booked appointments. That's all they care about. So, all right. So there's a few YouTube comments here, guys. I don't know if we're going to be able to answer these. Should we use Google Maps image links instead of uploading photos? I'm not sure what they're talking about for that. So I'm going to skip that one. Next one is, hey, Semantic, what are your thoughts on CTR manipulation and what tool do you recommend? I don't recommend CTR manipulation right now. I really don't, because Google has gotten so much better at being able to determine if it's a validated traffic signal or not. If you got to think about all the data points that Google and every other, big data company out there tracks, every time you go to any website, guys, and you click the cookie consent banner that pops up on every fucking site now, if you say yes or accept all or whatever, you are giving permission to share all the information that site is collecting from you with anybody that they want. And so there's a number of services out there right now that can extract contact information from website visitors that did not submit a contact form and everything else. How do you think they're doing? Because everybody just goes and clicks accept all on those banners on every site. And that's what they're allowing, all of this, like an enormous amount of data to be shared with not only the site that you accepted it on, but all the third parties that they have agreements with. And so Google's tracking absolutely everything that everybody does all the time. Google has very detailed profiles built on consumers and Google users. And so if you start sending CTR manipulation traffic from, profiles that have these crazy random ass histories and all that kind of stuff. Remember, a lot of the CTR apps, all they're doing is manipulating geographic targeting through the browser settings. So using mobile 4G proxies, et cetera. But then it's the browser settings that simulates where they're searching from. But what about the persona or the profile behind that browse, that browsing session and that click eventually? Ultimately, that's what CTR is, right? Click-through rate manipulation, right? So it's ultimately the click. What is the history of that profile, the clicker's profile? Is it a real consumer that has a validated, verifiable history in Google of being in that area and being interested in that type of content and engaging with that type of content? So what I'm getting at, guys, is Google can very quickly now determine if a traffic signal is coming from a validated, verifiable Google user that it has an extensive profile on, and whether it's a relevant click or not. Like, in other words, a click coming from a consumer that Google has a thorough profile built on or for, Google knows where they live. So they're in a local area. Google knows what types of content that they engage with, not just on the web, but where they, like the stores that they visit, because it's, Google's in the phone. And so every time they go anywhere, Google knows where the types of stores that they frequent, the type of content that they engage with online, what they're watching on TV or YouTube or whatever. All of that builds this profile of that consumer. And so if there is a homeowner, like a property owner in a particular area that has recently gone to Home Depot or Lowe's and to nurseries, like not babies, but like landscape nurseries and things like that. And then that person goes and searches for tree service near me and does a click through to a tree service contractor. That click has significantly more value. It's weighted much heavier than some random ass IP click from some mobile 4G proxy that has no verifiable, validated profile history that would make that a relevant and valuable click. You understand? Google places much more weight or value upon a validated, verifiable traffic signal. And it almost ignores, and it can be even potentially toxic, to start sending unvalidated traffic signals. And so I don't recommend it at all anymore. Like, I don't. I recommend, if you're going to be doing CTR, socially engineer it, right? Do offline marketing and advertising in the local area. Put yard signs up or bandit signs that say the contractors or the company's name, so that when drivers or consumers that live in the neighborhood or whatever go by that house, they see the company name. What do? They go to Google and search for the company by name and then click through. That's socially engineered, real click-through rate manipulation from real consumers in that local market. So yard signs, print advertising, newspaper advertising, canvassing neighborhoods and hanging door knockers or putting flyers on the mailboxes, doing direct mail, cable TV ads, radio ads, YouTube ads with tight geographic targeting, right? Having calls to action in that advertising stating, go to Google and search us by name, right? Seriously, instead of putting the website address or the phone number on that marketing material, tell it, go to Google and search for us by name. That's a search and click signal from a real consumer, a validated consumer. Those signals are weighted so much heavier than CTR manipulation. I advise against it, because even if you can get away with it now, at some point, in my opinion, at some point, CTR is going to become toxic when you're trying to manipulate it, unless you're doing it in a valid way, like I just described, through traditional marketing and advertising, and getting consumers in the local area to express interest in the brand by doing a brand search. So most powerful signals you can do right now is that. I've got a tree service contractor client who just was in the Texas area where all those floods occurred in the 4th of July this past summer. All those kids were killed and everything, that drowned and all that. Awful. But anyways, that whole area was just destroyed. And so he got a FEMA grant as a tree service contractor. He got a FEMA grant of like $35,000 or something like that to help restore the area and everything. And the FEMA grant said that, you can use it for marketing his business and everything else, but there's certain requirements about tracking return on investment and all that kind of stuff. So he called me once he got that grant funded. And he said like, hey man, I got, $30,000 in FEMA money. He goes, I want to give you half of it to grow my business. So first thing I did, as soon as he said that, I said, let's start a direct mail campaign. And that was the first thing that came out of my mouth. No kidding. Before he even finished saying, I got grant money, I want to give you half of it, I said, let's do a direct mail campaign. So we got him hooked up with a company that does direct mail specifically for tree contractors. It's not something I do anymore. I used to do direct mail for my own real estate business, but I don't do it for clients. So I had this other company called Tree Traction that actually that's all they specialize in is direct mail for tree service contractors. And we got him connected with them. And so they're managing mail campaigns. And we see from usually by the second mailing, because it's a 3-month commitment. And depending on what level they're at, he chose every other week. So 2 mailings per month. Usually by the second mailing, we'll see a lift in search performance in local search from a direct mail campaign. No shit. And it's because people get they get these, they're flyers. Like this company actually sends in the mail a full sheet of paper. It's an 8x10. It's not folded. It's a full 8x10 sheet of paper that's what gets delivered into the mailbox by the U.S. Postal Service. And anyways, because the consumers get those 8x10 mail pieces and it says the company name on them. And so what do the consumers do? They go to Google and they search for the company by name and then click through. And so I'm telling you, usually by the second mailing, when the second mailing is delivered, within a matter of 2-3 days, we see a lift in search performance, in map search and everything else. And it's because of the branded search and click signals from real consumers in that local area. So I'm telling you guys, one of the fastest ways that you can improve local search performance for any client is to do offline marketing and advertising specifically. Like it's just amazing how quickly it works. Because, by the way, think about why, guys. It's much easier to manipulate a lot of the other signals like backlinks, on page, all that kind of stuff. But it's much harder to manipulate real consumer engagement signals, right? So that's why Google's placing more weight or value upon those signals, because those are much harder to manipulate or game, right? But building links, that's easy. On-page optimization, that's fairly easy, right? So those are all things that we can control, but things that we have a lot less control on, that's what Google's placing more value on, because it's harder to spam or to spoof, right? So anyway, hopefully that's clear. I don't like CTR manipulation anymore unless it's socially engineered. Direct mail works for that, by the way. Okay, next one was, how would you carry out link building if a separate location and service, it won't be possible to target location plus service link building? That's a ridiculous statement. That's ridiculous. So the question here is that I know we're just talking about, I talk about how you should have one page for every location and one page for every city, or excuse me, for every service. So in the tree service industry, like I said, guys, it's a single service category business. So we optimize the homepage for tree service, which is the category. Specific services are like tree trimming, tree removal, tree care, stump grinding, land clearing. There's other ones, storm cleanup and things like that, which there's a number, but the primary ones that most all tree guys do: tree trimming, tree removal, stump grinding, land clearing, and tree care or arborist consulting, which kind of falls under tree care anyway. Okay, so those are pretty much the 5 main services that tree service companies provide. So the homepage is optimized for tree service, the Google business category, the service category. You understand? Then the inner service pages are optimized for the individual services that fall under that category. Then you have one page for every location that they target within their service area. That's it. Now, the internal linking creates the associations between the services and the areas or locations that service is available to, because on each service page, you have an internal link element that lists and links to each of the location pages. So you have an H2 that introduces and says, like on the tree removal page, tree removal services available in the following areas. Then it's an H3 anchor text link table that says each of the location pages, the city or town pages within your service area. So now what you've done is you've created a direct association between that specific service, in this example, tree removal, in each of the individual cities that are that service is available to, which is the locations in that company's service area. Then on each location page, one page for each location, not tree removal times city 1, tree trimming times city 1, stump grinding times city 1. No, one page for city 1, optimized for tree service, which is the broader category where each of those individual service types fall under that category. And now that location page, you have an H2 that says, we provide the following tree services in, repeat the city name that page is optimized for. And then it's an internal link element of H3 anchor text links that list and link to each of the service pages. And so the question in this YouTube comment, or this comment question, whatever it is, that I said was ridiculous, and I'm not trying to be rude about it, but think logically, whoever asked this question, it's a silly question in my opinion. I'm not trying to be a jerk. I mean that, but just think about that, saying it wouldn't be possible to target location plus service link building. Yeah, it would. Why wouldn't it be? Right? If on each location page, you can use, that's called a target anchor, by the way. Topic anchor is a keyword only anchor. A target anchor is keyword plus location modifier. So what do you hit when you're hitting a service page? Okay. So like tree removal, tree trimming, stump grinding, whatever, you hit a service page. What should you hit that page with? You should hit that page with topically relevant links, right? And you should be using topic anchors or target anchors with the location modifier being an area, the service area. Do you understand? The location page, which is going to be optimized for an individual city or town. Remember, guys, the difference between an area and a location. An area is a collection of locations. A location is a location. So if it's a service area business, then you can hit service pages where all the locations are referenced within that service page with topic anchors or target anchors with the area modifier, or brand anchors, which is what I recommend anyways. Brand plus the service. So company name tree removal, company name tree removal service, right? That would hit that tree removal service page. Now you're pushing proper link equity and relevance to all of the relevant locations that are internally linked from that service page. Then on each location page, now you can use target anchors, which I still recommend using brand plus location modifier instead. So a particular, like brand plus, like, Benner's tree service in Pikeville for a Pikeville page, right? So now you're getting, again, keyword or brand in this case plus location modifier. But if you want to go with, tree removal in Pikeville or tree trimming in Pikeville or tree trimming Pike County, right? Again, that's keyword plus location modifier. So, I don't understand how somebody could not see that, right? Well, you can't build keyword anchor text links where you're targeting location plus service if you have that type of a internal linking structure. Yeah, you can. It doesn't make any sense. If you hit a location page with a target anchor that's optimized for a relevant service plus that specific location, that's going to push link equity into that location page that's relevant at that location, but then it's also pushing through to all of the service pages that are referenced in that page. Vice versa, you build a link to a service page, what happens? The link equity flows down to each of the location pages. And by the way, think about what you're doing. You're creating an internal link wheel, right? Because if the service page lists and link to each location page, and each location page lists and links to all the service pages, then every time you hit a service page with links, what happens? Link equity flows through the content body of that page to the service location element, internal link element to the location pages. The link equity splits evenly across all of those locations, gets to the location page. What happens? It flows down through that page and then hits the service internal link element. What happens again? It splits to all the service pages and it gets in this infinite loop. It's a link wheel. That's what it is. It's a link wheel, guys. You understand? And that's why it works, because it reduces the need for more links. Because instead of having keyword times city for every keyword times every city, which creates a bunch of redundant, duplicated, competing pages, which also dilutes internal link equity, right? Remember what I said earlier, guys, and I've been saying this for years now. The more narrowly you focus the site, the better it performs. It's also more efficient, which I've been talking about for years now too. The two most important things in local search: number one, branded location authority. Number two is site efficiency. The more narrow you focus the site, the more efficient it is, not only just for Google to crawl and understand, but also when it comes to link building, because you have less internal links or pages to dilute internal link equity across, right? So structuring the site, keep it lean, focus the local business type site on bottom of funnel transactional search queries with commercial intent only. That keeps it narrow. It keeps it efficient. It makes your link building budget go further. And then if you want to do blog content and all that other stuff, external domains, or start experimenting with subdomain blogs, etc. Okay. And then you can build links to all of those too, by the way, because you're going to have internal or links within the content bodies of those externally posted blog externally published blog post, or on a subdomain blog, you're going to use the content bot, like a contextual link within the content body of those posts to link up to the main money site, right? So now you've got pages and posts on either external domains or subdomains that have links to the top level pages on the main money site, which are optimized for transactional terms with commercial intent. You understand? And now you've got link building targets on external domains or subdomain blog posts that you can be more aggressive with link building to, so that you keep your money site clean. You understand? So it's just a much smarter way to build sites in local SEO right now, in my opinion. All right. All right. We're almost out of time. So we got one more question and we'll look at any comments and we're going to wrap up for the day, maybe a few minutes early. Last one's from Jay. He says, "Hey, Bradley, I really appreciate how clear and authoritative your communication style is." Well, thank you, Jay. As someone still early in building my agency and developing my sales skills, what resources or frameworks would you recommend for improving my approach when selling to local businesses? I love this question. Absolutely love this question. And you're asking the right questions, Jay. So let me give you an example real quick. Give me 1 second. I love the fact that you're asking how to sell local SEO instead of asking about how to perform local SEO, because you don't make the money in performing local SEO. You make the money in selling local SEO. And so if you really want to increase your revenue, learn how to sell, right? You can find plenty of SEOs out there that are good at SEO, but suck at sales because they try to avoid it. Ask me how I know, because I did it. I used to try to avoid selling as much as possible too. Okay. No kidding. I used to hate it. So anyways, I'm just pulling up some slides here and I want to share with you some resources. I love that question though. That's the right kind of question. I've been telling SEOs for years now that you, instead of learning SEO, like especially if you're starting out, learn how to sell it first, right? Identify a market, pick a market, learn everything that you can about that industry so that you know that industry as well, if not better than the business owners in that industry. And that way you can develop solutions to solve their problems, not just marketing and lead generation, because you're replaceable. If that's all you are as a marketer and a lead generator, you're replaceable. And the moment that, you know, by the way, local businesses get hammered with solicitation calls from SEOs in India, you know, and things like that all the time. That again, if all your role is a lead generator and a marketer, you're replaceable by somebody cheaper. And the business owner is always looking at alternative options, right? But if you become a trusted business advisor because you understand their business as much as they do, and you develop solutions to help them operate more efficiently at a higher profitability, et cetera, you become invaluable. That's a big difference between being an SEO and a lead generator and being a trusted business advisor, where you become sticky, because like, it's almost like they would be out of their mind to let you go, because you have helped them to manage and operate their business, which is how I try to operate with my tree guys. You understand? And so focus in on the selling side of, like, learning an industry first. It's not, don't just focus in on sales. Get to know a particular industry first. Focus on that. And then when you start having conversations, and by the way, like, I know everybody needs to make money. I get that. But when you first go into sales, whatever industry you've chosen, don't go into, like, book appointments, book calls, but don't book them as sales calls. Book them as discovery calls, and be honest, like, get on calls and go into a call with a business owner in whatever your chosen industry is, the industry you've selected, not with the idea or the intent, the goal of selling them something. Go, at least not for the first 20 conversations you have. You should make that your goals, to try to book 20 calls with business owners in whatever industry you've selected. And when you get on a call with them, right, just tell them right up front, listen, I'm developing specific solutions for your industry, and this call is a discovery call. I'm not going to try to sell you anything. I just want to ask some questions about, you know, what keeps you up at night? What don't you like about your business? If you had a magic wand and you could wave it today, what would you change about your marketing, how you manage leads, et cetera? You ask questions, discovery questions, and you shut up and listen and take notes, record it, whatever. And after you've had 20 conversations with business owners in whatever industry you've chosen, you will have developed a very specific set of common problems that are common to most of those business owners. There's your solutions. There's your offers, right? You develop your offers around what keeps them up at night, right? Then now you then, by the way, didn't you build rapport with the 20 or so business owners that you talked to where you didn't try to sell them anything? Isn't that refreshing to a business owner where you're taking a genuine interest in solving their problems without pitching them on anything yet? Right? So you open up the door that once you have discovered those problems that you can solve, then you go approach them with, hey, remember when we had that call 6 weeks ago or whatever? Well, I've got the solutions now developed for that. Let's jump on another call so I can introduce it to you. They're going to be much more receptive to that second call, even when they know a pitch is coming on that second call, because you developed rapport in the first call. And instead of going on the call and putting yourself under a lot of pressure, I have to sell, I have to close, where, by the way, the prospect will smell that desperation through the Zoom meeting. Like, no kidding. It's like a dog can sense fear. You know what I mean? So don't put yourself under that pressure. Just have a conversation, right? And you will very quickly be able to identify common problems that most of the business owners in that industry experience, and you can develop solutions around that. So now you've got an offer that's compelling. You pitch it not in my offer does this or does that. It's my offer solves your problem, right? That's how you pitch it. And now you've got the people that you just had a discovery call with as your first beta testers, right? So you can really refine and dial your offer in based upon selling to those that you already developed rapport with before you go to a cold market. You see what I'm saying? And so anyway, a great question, by the way. I really appreciate that question, because most people come on here and ask questions about the local SEO tactics. And a lot of those people, I'm not trying to pick on anybody here, but a lot of people that are always chasing the next SEO tactic are broke. And I'm saying that's important. We still have to get results, but if you want to make money, learn how to sell it first. And how do you get more sales? You solve problems. That's how you get more sales. So I brought this up specifically because you asked about resources, and we're at 4 minutes before the end of the hour. So I'm going to zoom in on this. Just take a screenshot, guys. I'm not going to share this. This is from one of our paid live events, but here are some I've spent the last 5 years studying direct response marketing and sales, and it changed everything in my business when I stopped only focusing on technical SEO and I started focusing on marketing and sales. This is not a joke, guys. My income has quadrupled over the last 5 years, quadrupled, and that's not a joke. I've had my highest revenue earning month this past 30 days. It's not a joke. And it's because I focused on marketing and sales, right? And developing systems for our deliverables, our processes that work once I figured out what the tree contractors needed. And I also do link building for agencies, right? So figure out what they need, provide a solution for that solves that problem. And then you dial in your pitch, your presentation, your sales pitch, essentially, through repetition. If you go out and target 15 different industries, you got 15 different sets of problems to solve, and you don't know how to pitch them to any one of them because they're all different types, right? Pick one industry, figure out all their problems through just discovery calls with no pressure, no sales pressure, provide solutions, and then start pitching, presenting those solutions to those in that industry. And very quickly, you will figure out how to position the offer to get the best take rate, right? In other words, for highest conversions, et cetera, because you're pitching the same thing over and over and over again to the same audience. And through repetition, you dial it in, you dial your messaging in, what works, your pricing, everything, your delivery, because it's the same deliverables every time. That's how you build a profitable agency, guys, not custom quotes for 15 different, business types that you really know nothing about, right? Well, I don't understand why I'm having such a hard time. Well, because you don't know anything about the industry, right? Learn about the industry first. So anyways, I was pointing this up, guys, because these books, direct response marketing and sales books, are the one, whether you listen to them on audio or read them or both, these are the ones that had the biggest influence on my career, on my profitability, okay, or these right here. If I had to pick any, like the spin selling method is the best method, in my opinion, for selling SEO services and local marketing services. But by the way, I specifically referenced the spin. That, by the way, that's an acronym for situation, problem, implication, need, payoff. I studied the spin selling method for years, and I practiced it until became second nature. And that's how I do my sales process, is the spin selling method. There's a book called The Spin Selling or the Spin Selling Method or whatever, but it's lengthy. It's, if you listen to the audio, it's overly long. You don't need, the Spin Selling Field Book is like the direct actionable items. And each chapter is like you work your way through the chapter with action items, et cetera. So I encourage you to, if you want to read the book, that's great. But the field book is much more actionable. And so that's what I recommend, is that. But again, all of these matter, in my opinion, because understanding direct response marketing principles is going to make you better at SEO, because number one, but then learning sales. And guys, remember, all the reading and studying and watching YouTube videos about sales, all that in the world doesn't help nearly as fast, or you will not learn the skill of sales from watching videos and reading books as you will by just getting on more calls. Book more calls. Now, studying, reading, listening to audio, and then practicing in real world settings. So applying what you learned is the fastest way to learn. But if you're what I recommend is don't spend all your time reading and studying. Try to book more calls. Like I said, take the pressure off yourself. Don't go into a call thinking I have to sell something. Go into the call initially with discovery, like the intent of discovering this problem so that you can develop solutions. And then when Jason Forrest, The Mindset of a Sales Warrior, that's where I learned the principle about whenever you enter into a conversation with a prospect, don't look at the end goal of I've got to sell them something and close them on this call. What is the next step that they need to take to move that sale, that prospect closer to a sale? That should be your intent or your goal of that. Of whenever you're conversing with the prospect, it shouldn't be ultimately, I've got to close them. It should be, what is the next step that I want to take them to, or that I want them to take, that's going to move them closer to converting into a sale. Does that make sense? And so again, it removes that enormous amount of pressure to, instead of like, I got to climb this whole mountain, I've only got to take one step. And then once they take that step, then you shift the focus, you move the goalposts, right, to now the next step. And again, it removes that pressure, because and guys, how did I learn all this? Through practice, through studying, and then practicing what I've learned, right? Applying it, right? So anyway, great question, guys. Like I said, if you take a screenshot of this, you can go check out those books. I would say this one and those two are probably my favorites for sales kind of tactics, but direct response marketing is also important, in my opinion, especially if you're going to call yourself an internet marketer. Okay. All right. We made it. Any questions, guys, that I need to be aware of?
Let's see, just hopping over. Whoops, I lost the page.
So, Brian's here. What's up, Brian? And Blair, yeah. What's up, man? That's cool. And David, what's up, David? Let's see. Brian says, for AIO, it's all about getting brand mention. You're damn right it is, man. And man, it's so funny. I've started recently seeing a lot of SEO articles coming out, like from other SEOs and blogs and stuff, that are talking about brand mentions and brand mentions. It's like, I'm glad, we're awfully late to the party. You know what I mean? Like, God, we've been pushing that for what, 2-3 years minimum. Like, it should all be about building branded location authority, brand authority, brand authority, brand authority. If you focus on that, all the other SEO will fall into place. I've been saying that for years, and now it's like finally it's becoming mainstream, which is great. Although I don't like other people knowing about it. You know what I mean? But it's true. It's nuts how important that is right now. Visual HTML pages. Nice page is your go-to. Okay, cool. Yeah, what's WordPress? It's David. I like that idea. Did I have a good Thanksgiving last week? I stayed home and worked. No shit. I worked until 10:30 p.m. Thanksgiving night, all by myself. No shit. I've been working nonstop for 3 weeks now. Blair, what's up, Blair? Helping SEO out. Yeah, that's a local link building. That was what's on this page here. Helping SEO out. Dave is one of our mastermind members, or was, and he developed like help a reporter out, but it's for local SEO link exchanges. It's pretty cool. Check it out. Let's see. To Bradley's point, most SEOs be like, is there a free tool that does this? Or, ugh, that sounds expensive. Yeah, that's for sure. I heard you say brand at SEO at the beach in Tampa. Yes, sir. Been talking about that for years. Brian says, for those who are in the mastermind, I dropped a sales bot that they can use to practice sales techniques. That's awesome, Brian. Thank you. All right, guys. Well, I appreciate everybody for being here and the questions. And it was, I think, a good one. I really appreciate that last question about sales. Good question. Whoever that was again, let me call him out by name. That was Jay. Jay, come ask more questions like that, man. All right, guys. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Adam, for sticking around. See you guys next week.